It could affect the whole planet, and it just went right past us.
From President Trump directly, an update on the New Jersey drones. After research and study, the drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized to be flown by the FAA for research and various other reasons.
Crickets? Yeah, it's crickets. No one's really following up with this. Why aren't we unpacking this? And I'm going to tell you why it could affect the whole globe. But first, let's just unpack the logistics of this. The FAA reports to the Department of Transportation, who reports to the Secretary of Transportation, who reports to Joe Biden. And this guy...
The Department of Homeland Security and the FBI are investigating these sightings, and they're working closely with state and local law enforcement to provide resources using numerous detection methods to better understand their origin. And so we urge Congress to pass important legislation that will extend and expand existing counter-drone authorities so that we are better prepared to identify and mitigate.
He's asking for us to expand the power that they have over their fake-made issue.
So we're closely tracking the activity and coordinating closely with relevant agencies, including DHS and FBI, to continue to investigate these incidents.
You're telling me we don't know what the hell these drones are in New Jersey are? Is that correct?
That's right.
It's crazy.
And no one's asking for any accountability regarding the local time, money, and manpower local law enforcement gave to this issue.
FBI and our Newark field office, along with the state and local partners there, the Bureau is actively investigating.
It was clear during this time when we were being gaslit and lied to by all of the White House team and Joe Biden himself saying, we don't know what these are. Clearly, Joe Biden knew what they were because it was coming from employees that worked beneath him. 2 points to this. The first is the obvious, that this is really supportive of the right, the conservative right's narrative, the deep state. Why else would a sitting president stand there and lie to its people unless he's being told to do by someone else? Culture dictates policy. It is our responsibility, once we're given this kind of news bombshell, to say, well, thanks A, for lying to us, and B, how are you serving we the people by flying drones over New Jersey? And then their answer is going to come back as it's probably, kept secret for the defense, which is fine. But typically when you have technology that is proprietary or could hurt someone or kill someone, you would set it loose on a ranch where by the time its battery would run out, it couldn't reach civilization. It wouldn't reach people. So what kind of research are you doing where you know eyeballs are going to be on it? This wasn't done in a rural area. This was done in a metropolitan area. That the timing of this was done after Trump is waiting to become president. He has already won the election. We're waiting to install him as the president. Ideally, there's a psychological experiment being ran that they can only run in the last few weeks they have of the Biden administration. The research was on how the people in society and media reacted. And the second most important thing we've got to unpack about these drones is the science behind it. Now, we already know that they flew at night, they flew in packs, and some are the sizes of SUVs, and it was rumored that they came out of the water and that some looked like plasma orbs. And, some of it was airlines and like actual aircraft airlines, and some of it was civilians, and some of it was just regular looking drones. And a lot of erratic flying patterns and behaviors that defies the laws of physics. That's the interesting part I want to unpack with you. Put on your tinfoil hat and just hear me out on this. So all this misinformation or real information we don't know, again, probably part of the research of how we're reacting. So it's possible, most likely, that we've had people within and behind our government anti-gravity technology since the 1950s. We've also had zero-point energy technology since the 1920s. So go back 100 years. I highly recommend you watch the documentary, The Lost Century. You could find it on YouTube, and it'll go all the way through this. But to marry these two technologies together, you have gravity, which is technically bending space-time, and zero-point energy is space-time itself. It is this fundamental field of thin air that Max Planck, in the 1900s, when he was trying to help the ultraviolet catastrophe, and he was doing measurements and equations, he found it at the ground state, the electromagnetic field, when at zero, didn't show in the equations to be zero, it showed to give infinite amount of energy. And he thought he was wrong, and he tossed it to the side, and all the rest of physics went this way, and this 0-point energy wrong equation, I must be wrong, was kind of tossed out the window and lost. However, we also know that Nikola Tesla also was working with 0-point energy, and all of his data was confiscated by the government and is held under the 1951 Secrecy Act. The reason the 0-point energy is important, I guess I should rewind back and say that since you can get energy out of thin air, it essentially eliminates the need for the energy in oil and gas sector, which is, trillions of dollars. To give you an idea of how powerful it is if you took a coffee mug, it's just the air inside of a coffee mug. That air inside the coffee mug is enough to burn off all of the water on planet Earth. So it's super powerful, like they said, infinite amounts of energy. So what does this have to do with the drones? Okay, so let's go and now bring in Dr. Stephen Greer, who has been on the PBD, Patrick Bet-David, Sean Ryan, and Redacted podcast recently talking about all this. And his narrative is that for the past 50 years, every time you've heard of negative information regarding aliens probing us and, abducting us, it's all been this orchestrated movement, again, behind the scenes of our government and the powers that be. And that he is now whistleblowing and has been trying to, and stood in front of Congress for years now, whistleblowing that our government contractors within Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, all of them, there are over 400 whistleblowers he has now put together. He's working for our government on a special appointed project, a SAP, I forget the acronym. Getting the whistleblowers together, showing our government where the Army bases are, where these unidentifiable flying objects, UFOs, aircrafts that we have funded and created and are hiding. We have this technology. And the theory, the tinfoil hat part, is that it's, I think, similar to the conspiracy theory Project Bluebeam. So to be clear about my conspiracy and what he's trying to warn us about is that when we see anything flying in the sky, it is most likely our own people, somebody behind our government that has all this technology that all of our tax dollars have paid for, trying to have a power grab on humanity. And because we have this inaccessible ability to even conceive the technology that they have, we're more likely to argue about it amongst ourselves and never really come out of this in resonance, which is, dude, if we could actually get the 0-point energy released to the rest of the world, we would be living in amazing places. And that's one thing I didn't mention, is that everybody that has tried to progress forward with 0-point energy winds up in jail or dead. Please watch the documentary, The Lost Century, to see if everything I'm saying makes any sense to you. If there are aliens, they are working from such a higher vibrational place of thinking that they would mean no harm inside space-time, our universe, or our planet to us. It's all orchestrated by our own horrible humans here on Earth for control and power. So the conspiracy is, if we have aliens, all of the global Earth is going to have to team up together and give up some of those freedoms in order to beat these bad aliens. So all I can hope for is that when these events are coming out again, we already saw how humans react in times of catastrophe. We were once facing a disease that had a 99.7% chance of not doing anything to you, and we gave in completely. We folded. We're like, whatever, just take it all. Just take it all. So I'm not too optimistic on how this would look if we had an alien invasion, but I just wanted to put this out there, guys. I guess the big point is because the technology, it's so far down the rabbit hole for people to believe that we have this. And let me tell you this while we're on this note, is that when the Wright brothers were saying, hey guys, we're building an airplane, all the journals in physics said it was impossible to do. Everybody told them it was impossible. So when you say I'm crazy about the anti-gravity or the 0-point energy, maybe, but physics is a world where you have two very competent people saying the exact opposite thing, and you don't really know who's right or wrong. You really don't, even now. So that's it. That's my conspiracy. Don't get scared next time things are flying around. It's most likely our government, but props. I am very taken back by the Trump administration. I still can't believe on all the things he's coming forward to do that just simply we the people want. And that was the first thing they announced on their first White House thing, was to say, hey, you were just lied to just like 3 weeks ago. That was us the whole time. And might just ruin the whole project. Blue beam ain't gonna happen anymore.